Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is Kevin Durant the best player in the world when healthy? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, if you guys haven't hit the notification bell, make sure you hit that notification bell to ensure that you get the videos when they come out. Also, check out Dreamerspro Max. It's an online sports community that we created. It's a place where you can go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, go live with us after games, consume original content that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. We're also doing one of our first virtual meetups. We're planning one of those this month, so you can be a part of that as well. So make sure you check that out and do so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check it out. We have that linked in the description below and get 7 days of access. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. Now, some people say, why do you keep sniffling? Because it's cold, number one. Number two, as a human being, we get affected by colds. Like if people sniffling bothers you, then you got some problems. Some people are, why are you sniffling? Like, what type of person are you? Anyway, let me get into the content here. So this has been one of the most contentious debates in all of basketball. Who's the best player in the world, right? Everybody has their favorite player in the league. Some people think, some people like Danny Green. There's some people may think that Danny Green is their favorite player in the league. Some people like De'Aaron Fox. My cousin, he thinks De'Aaron Fox is his favorite player in the world. Everybody has their favorite player, right? Which is totally understandable. Everybody has a right to have their favorite player. I completely understand that, right? But usually when we're talking about who's the best player in the NBA or who are the best players in the NBA, there's usually a group of people that come to mind. There's usually 10 players that people think of when they're talking about who's the best player in the NBA, right? So let me just give you guys a list, and I think almost all of you guys are going to agree with these 10 players. Usually when you say who are the best players in the NBA, you usually have LeBron James, in no particular order. You have LeBron James, you have Kawhi Leonard, you have Kevin Durant, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, you have Stephen Curry, you have Joel Embiid, you have Anthony Davis, then you got James Harden, you have Nikola Jokic, and you have Luka Doncic. If you ask most NBA fans who's the best player in the league, usually the person that they mention or the person that they name is going to come from these 10 players, right? Now, where they rank them, it really all depends on the person's preference, but usually these are the top 10 players that people mention, and to be quite honest with you, these are the best players. Now, some people can argue, okay, why did you leave out Kyrie? Some people can argue, why did you leave out maybe Devin Booker? Everyone, there's always going to be one or two guys that kind of get left out of the top 10, and some people may have an issue, but usually the top 8, I think everybody agrees with. I think no one is going to dispute the fact that the two best big men in the NBA are Nikola Jokic. The three best big men, let's say, are Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Anthony Davis. I don't think anyone is going to argue that point. Then the best wing players, no one is going to argue that it's LeBron or KD or one of these guys. So those are usually the top 10 players. Now, what we got to do is we got to narrow this list down, right? And all of this came from, some of you guys might, what made you bring up this video? Because I was thinking about Kevin Durant, who came back last night and it was playing with the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, KD comes back after not playing basketball for probably over a month or so, comes in, checks into the game, I think in the third quarter. And what does Kevin Durant do after not playing basketball for 1 month? All he does is hit his first 2 shots, ends up going 5 for 5 from the field, hitting his free throws, and scoring 17 points off of 5 shots. Come on. Come on. Who in the NBA can do something like that? Only KD can do something like that, right? And I thought about it, I was like, man, this guy is like, is this even normal? Right? So that made me kind of ask the question, like, if KD's healthy, is he the best player in the world? And that's the reason why I want to make this thing a bit of a more robust and kind of sensible argument. So that's why I'm kind of breaking it down here. So from there, from that top 10, we can now narrow it down to the top 5. And I think this top 5, I think almost everyone is going to agree with it. Probably they may want to remove one player and switch it out for another, but these are the top 5 players in the NBA, in my opinion. You have LeBron James. You have Kevin Durant, no particular order. You have LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, and Stephen Curry. In my opinion, these are the top 5 basketball players in the world today. In my opinion, I think Stephen Curry, guy that revolutionized the game. Giannis Antetokounmpo, back-to-back regular season MVP. Defensive Player of the Year. There's no way you can have a top NBA list, top 5, and Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't get mentioned on that list. The guy does everything, right? He's not the best free throw shooter. He's not the best jump shooter in the NBA, but he's pretty damn good. If he, with all of those weaknesses, to still go out there and get you 28, 29 points, 13 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, like 4 or 5 assists. You like, and then with his physicality, so much attention that he draws, he's not even a complete basketball player. And look how good he is. His game is not fully matured yet. And he's a back-to-back regular season MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. So there's no way you can leave Giannis Antetokounmpo out, and then you have those guys. Now, those are the top 5, in my opinion. I think most people are going to agree. Some people may say, no, it's Anthony Davis. Some people may say, no, it's Joel Embiid or Nicole, whatever it is. I think those are the top 5. Then now we got to narrow it down to the top 3, right? Everybody can't go. So we got to narrow this list down a little bit further. And I think this is when it starts to get interesting. But I think these top 3 players, I don't think anyone is going to disagree with this list, to be honest with you, unless there's some people that kind of feel a certain way. But I think most basketball fans will admit that these are the top 3 basketball players in the world. So here are the top 3 basketball players in the world right now. You have LeBron James, in no particular order again. You have LeBron James, you have Kawhi Leonard, and you have Kevin Durant. In my opinion, these are the 3 best basketball players in the world. In my opinion, I think these are the 3 best in the world. And I think now we start to get into murky waters, right? Now things start to get a little bit contentious because now people are like, okay, so who you got? Who's the best? And now I think this is when the argument starts to heat up and people start drawing lines in the sand. And this is when it gets interesting. So I tried to break it down. In 3 and look at 3 facets of basketball, right? To kind of make this thing a more sensible debate. So I'm looking at 3 aspects of basketball. I'm looking at scoring, I'm looking at playmaking, and I'm looking at defense. These are the 3 major categories that I'm looking at as far as determining who's the best player in the world, because these are the most important facets of basketball. Your scoring, right? Your defense, like playing on both sides of the ball, and your ability to get other guys involved and make other guys and help other and make other players better. These are the 3 aspects of basketball. So let's take it a step further and look at who actually does these 3 facets. Who's actually the best at all 3 of them. So of the 3, I think Kevin Durant is easily the best scorer of the 3. Now, some people may say, well, wait a minute, but him and LeBron James have a similar average. Okay, him and LeBron James do have a similar average, but Kevin Durant has like 4 scoring titles. And if you're just looking at the average, right, usually some guys can maintain an average amount of points per game over their career, and you may think that this guy is a great scorer, but they're guys that are better. For example, Kobe Bryant is, I think, a career 25 point per game scorer for a career. Is anybody here going to argue that LeBron is a better scorer than Kobe? No. Only person I can think of that would argue that is Shannon Sharp, because he's looking at the average. Kobe has like 143 40-point plus games. Has like 5 or 6 plus 50 point. For God's sakes, his last game that he played, he scored 60. LeBron has 1 60-point game. Kobe scored like 4 50-point games in a row. So I don't think anybody here is going to question the fact that Kobe's a much better score than LeBron. I don't even think it's a question. If you're just looking at the averages, then you're not really looking at basketball the right way. It's not just the averages, right? Kobe had so many years when he averaged LeBron, I think, has averaged 30 points once in his career. Kobe's done it, I can't even, like 2 or 3 times. Kevin Durant, so to me, in my opinion, the fact is Kevin Durant is the best scorer of the 3. He scores the easiest of the 3. Case in point, last night, 17 points off of 5 shots. Who can do that? Nobody can do that, right? Nobody in the NBA can score like Kevin Durant. I don't even think it's close. So Kevin Durant, I think, is easily, I don't think it's close. He's easily the best scorer, right? That's KD, because KD can score from anywhere on the floor, right? KD is shooting 50% from the field from everywhere, right? If you look at LeBron's game, most of his points are coming from the mid-range. KD's a better, he's just as good as a finisher at the rim, although a younger LeBron is the best finisher I've ever seen at the rim. Then you have, but then the minute you start going away from the rim, like 12 foot, 13, then it's not even a contest anymore. Kevin Durant is like, he's shooting 50% pretty much from everywhere, and he's shooting 40% from the 3. And he's like and also he's been a part of the 50-40-90 club. So for those people that want to argue that point, you're not arguing with me, you're really arguing with yourself. That's that. Now, of the 3, who's the best playmaker? I think this is the easy one. I think the best playmaker is easily LeBron James. I don't even think it's a question, right? LeBron is the only player I've really seen that can take a bunch of guys and just go to the NBA Finals, right? At least early in his career. Later on in his career, he went with some really good players. Like, some people say, oh, he's the leader. You playing with Kevin Love, an all-star Kyrie Irving. That's not chopped liver. Kyrie, and these are some ballers, right? So, but overall, I think LeBron James is the best playmaker. He has the best court vision of all of them. He makes some passes. You're just like, wow. And that's one of the things that set him apart from a lot of players, because coming into the game, they've never seen anybody at that size that can score, pass, and all these different things. So LeBron James, I think, is easily the best playmaker of the three. And then of the three, Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, is easily the best defender, especially on the ball defense. When you start talking about on the ball defense, I don't even think it's close. Kawhi is a two-time defensive player of the year. A lot of people I think a lot of basketball fans really don't know what they're talking about when they talk about defense. They don't even know the difference between a help defender and an all-the-ball and an all-on-the-ball defender. Most people don't know that. Like, if you listen to some people, they don't know what they're talking about. First of all, there are two types of defensive players, especially if we're talking about wings. They're help defenders, and then they're on-the-ball defenders, and then the defenders, they can do both. Kawhi Leonard is an elite on-the-ball defender and help defender. You said, but how can he be a elite I thought you said only two. No, he can do both. Why? Because Kawhi Leonard, not only can he play great on-the-ball defense, but he also plays great positional defense. Kawhi Leonard always puts himself in position to keep the man that he's playing in front of him and also stay in the passing lanes. If you watch him and you watch how he positions his body on the court, he's one of the best I've ever seen at doing that, right? He plays great on-the-ball defense and he plays great help defense, right? He's like a free safety out there. He's an exceptional defensive player, right? An exceptional. Some people have some disagreements. Go look at probably his greatest body of work. Some people say LeBron. I think his greatest body of work is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo was destroying the league. He met Kawhi, and I think Kawhi is the only player you can put in front of Giannis Antetokounmpo and say, you go pick him up. He's the only one in the NBA, probably with Ben Simmons, but Giannis usually gets the best of Ben Simmons. So of the three, I think Kawhi Leonard is the best defender, not even close. So we've established that these are the three main categories. So in late games, we got to look at another thing. Who do you trust more in late games, right? You got to look at clutch. Now, in late games, who's the best? Who would you trust the most? I think in late games, I think the one that all of us can trust the most, I think is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the best late game closer of all of these three guys. I really don't think it's a question. I truly don't believe it's a question. Who do you trust the most with the ball in his hand with the game on the line? I think all of us have to agree with Kevin Durant. You say, but why would it be Kevin Durant? Look at the percentages he shoots. Kevin Durant is the best shooter of the three. He's the best shooter of the three. This is not my opinion. Go look on basketballreference.com. He shoots the best. I'm not talking about game-winning shots. That's something else. I'm talking about the most consistent, because game-winning shots, you omit a lot of other games. You're looking at games that were scored at the buzzer. What about all the other games that were not scored at the buzzer, right? How many games are going to go to? How many games are you playing in where you're going to have the game-winning shot? These games are far and in between. Kevin Durant, to me, is the best option to close a game late in games of all three. Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player, but Kevin Durant is the best. Now, in my opinion, if I had to pick who's the best of the three, then ultimately, who's the best player? And I think the answer then becomes, some people are going to get pissed off at me, but I think the best of these three players is Kawhi Leonard, and I'm going to tell you why. As we've said, of the three, he's the best defender. I think we can all agree on that, right? He's just as efficient a scorer as Kevin Durant and LeBron. Now, this is where we differ. This is where we kind of separate guys. Because if you look at Kevin Durant's efficient numbers on the offensive side of the floor, he's very efficient. Kawhi Leonard is there. Kawhi shoots a higher percentage from the mid-range at certain distances on the court. We already did a video on this. You guys can hunt that down. It's on the channel. So Kawhi is just as an efficient scorer as KD and LeBron. LeBron shoots about 50% of the field. Kawhi shoots about 40-something% from the field. But then when you step a little bit further out, look at the three-point line. Kawhi is a better three-point shooter from the percentages than LeBron, and he's a much better free throw shooter. So if we're just looking at efficiency from the floor, he's just as good as those guys, although I think KD is the most efficient of the three. But then when you factor in defense, then Kawhi is leapfrogs these guys, right? So he can play better defense than them, but he can be just as efficient as them, as these guys on the floor. The only thing is he's not as good as a passer as LeBron, but he's a good enough passer. He can get you 5+ assists per game. So in my opinion, if I had to look at those three main facets, offense, defense, playmaking, I think Kawhi wins that category in defense. Although I put Kevin Durant slightly ahead of him in offense, but he's just as efficient. Efficiency plays a role here. And then ultimately, playmaking, LeBron is the best, but Kawhi can play make too at a high level. Rajon Rondo said that too. So if you're asking me, I think that Kawhi Leonard is actually the best player in the world, in my opinion. Some people are going to disagree with me. If you say that LeBron James is the best player in the world, no problem. I'm not going to argue with you, because you can make an argument for LeBron. I'm making an argument for Kawhi. Of the three, I think he's the best. And some people are going to say it's Kevin Durant. If you say Kevin Durant is the best player in the world, I'm not going to argue with you. This is just my take on it. So whatever you guys think, whoever you guys think is the best player in the world, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.